Linny.
Hi, Nancy.
Welcome to episode 100 of the Front Porch Book Club.
The Front Porch Book Club is a podcast that meets twice a month.
We like to dig deep into the relationship between characters and the worlds they live in.
Grab your book and iced tea and join us on the front porch.
Well, no book today, Linny. It's books. It's all the books.
All of the 50 books we have read.
Oh, have you been counting?
Well, Nancy, math.
Maybe not exactly. I have questions for you. It should be 50 if it was exact.
Okay, well, maybe 49 or something.
You were always very good at math.
That's a lot of books, Nance.
And some of them were long books.
Yes, it's a task, but I can't let my sister down, so I keep doing it.
Oh, oh, you must be very high on responsibility. And
I'm very high on you.
Oh,
and making you proud of me.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Can you remember why you agreed to join me in this idea of co-hosting a book podcast?
So I cannot say I'm not a reader anymore. I have to say I'm a reader, which is really hard to do. But I agreed to do it because you asked me to. And I thought, well, I can hang out with my sister, so I'm going to do this with her. She thinks I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
She has a belief in me. So I'm going to try. But I first said, Nancy, what's a podcast? Can you remember why you wanted to do the podcast? Because this was your brainchild, Nancy, not mine.
I wanted to do this for a couple reasons. One, I wanted to stay in touch with you on a more regular basis. And I thought this would be a fun way to stay in touch. And it would give us the chance to talk about things that maybe ordinarily we would not talk about. Because when we talk on the phone, we talk about what's going on in our lives, whatever. But this would move us to a different realm potentially of things that are important to us or ways that we look at the world. And so I thought that would be really fun to be able to have conversations with you about that. I also really love books, as you know. And I thought it would be a good discipline for me to really get to all of the books that I really wanted to read. If I knew that I had this regular schedule, it would just give me a reason to always be reading books that I was interested in. And I also thought having a podcast, it would force me then to think more deeply about the book and interrogate some of the themes and what I thought was interesting about the book. I thought that would be useful. And then I think finally, because I love books, I want everyone to love books. And I thought, I know you, everyone, but also the greater world of people. And I thought it would be one small way I could contribute to the culture of books in the world.
Yeah, well, that's great, Nancy. The reason I'm laughing is Mom came up with all these schemes to get me to read as a child. None of them worked.
That's true.
So I was like, oh no, has Nancy come up with a scheme to try to get me to like to read? Mom tried to get me to like to sew too. That wasn't happening, Mom. No matter what scheme she came up with, it just was not happening. So.
Yeah. And for some reason, I fell prey to all mom's schemes. I like to read. I like to sew.
I just ran outside and played.
I think you were much more attuned to interacting with people.
Yeah.
And being more of an extrovert. And this concept of sitting and looking at words or sitting with a needle and thread, you could not understand why people would choose to do that when they could be interacting with friends.
Yeah, running around. Okay. Well, Nancy, What surprised you most about doing our podcast?
I think what surprised me most is it is kind of time consuming.
Yes.
Yeah, there are nights that I am laying in bed and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, am I going to have time to finish maybe reading the book before we talk about it? And then recruiting the guests and trying to figure that out. And you want to give them time to respond. I don't want to reach out to another guest and then have someone say, oh, yeah, I can do it now. And then have two people. That is very time consuming. And then the editing takes some time and the posting. So all of that is much more time consuming than I thought it would be. And I think it must be because I just didn't really think through it.
Yeah.
Because, of course, all of that does take time. I also foolishly thought that we would have a zillion listeners practically immediately. And that's not, that's not really how it works.
Yeah, the marketing part we still need to work on.
Yeah, we haven't quite figured that out.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
One small change at a time.
What surprised you?
Okay. Now, 3 years ago, I was a non-reader. I mean, I read some lighter books.
Yeah.
What really surprised me were the authors.
Okay. What surprised you about the authors?
I kind of thought, this is terrible, but it's sort of a stereotype, I guess. I thought these authors would be, I don't know, little mousy, rigid, introverted, boring people.
Oh.
And they are the nicest, friendliest, most creative, talkative group of people, like really nice people. And that has been my biggest surprise, probably. They're just nice and kind.
They are. And don't you feel like every time we meet an author, it's like, we could be friends.
Yes.
Maybe we are friends now.
Please like us.
Yeah.
That blows me away.
They've all had a great sense of humor and they've all laughed with us.
It's a huge surprise to me.
I love that answer. What's your favorite thing about doing the podcast?
Well, I think it's you, Nancy. I like getting together with you.
Oh my goodness.
I like chit-chatting with you about our books. And I love that I see you. It's more personable than just being on the phone. How's your day? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, because for our listeners, when we record, we use a platform that we can actually see each other, even though we don't post video of our conversations, but we can see each other and that's fun.
Yeah. So that's my favorite thing. It is time consuming and sometimes it's like, oh, I got to read.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy reading the books and I really do enjoy meeting with the authors or the experts that we have. I mean, we've had some pretty top-notch experts.
So smart.
Yeah, which are like brilliant minds and people.
We would never meet those people any other way.
No, the podcast has opened up a world for me. And I suppose that's what people say about reading.
Mm-hmm.
When people would say, well, like, are you a reader, Linda? And I would say, no, I'm not. And they would kind of go, oh, and walk away from me. Now I kind of understand that reading does open your mind and your experiences up to different people and customs and worlds and all that kind of stuff that I was not exposed to before. It's like this when I was young, 20s.
Yeah.
Before I got married, I would wake up at 12 o'clock on a day off. I'd go to bed late, wake up at 12, start my day. I'd go to the beach. I would wake up and go to the beach at 12 if I was on vacation.
Yeah.
And then I got married. And then all of a sudden my husband wants to get up and not sleep half the day away. And I go out on the boardwalk before 12 and there's all these bicycles and surreys going up and down the boardwalk. I had no knowledge that this was life on the beach before 12. I had absolutely none. I was like, what is going on here? And that's kind of the way books are, you know? Like I had no idea that books could draw you in and teach you, and you can learn about yourself and others through them. So that's what the podcast has done as well. It's just amazing. So I'm going to toss the question back to you, Nance. What have you learned from doing the podcast?
First of all, I have to say that is the most beautiful description of reading that I have perhaps ever heard. I love that idea of there was this whole world at the beach you didn't know existed. And that's what reading is like. And I think that really captures it.
Yeah. I've lived in two different worlds.
You have.
The non-reader world and now the reader world.
And now when people come up to you and say, are you a reader? What do you say?
Well, I haven't been asked that question yet, but I decided in thinking about this podcast that one of the labels and one of those atomic changes from the book we did in January is that I have to say now that I am a reader and switch that label.
Yeah.
And so, yes, now I will have to say, yes, I am a reader. In fact, I have a podcast.
I was thinking about atomic habits too, when you were saying that you were not a reader and now you're having to rethink what you think about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely a reader. Do people ask you for book recommendations?
Now that they know that I'm doing a podcast, they do say, oh, have you read this? And now we talk about books. Isn't that something?
And what is that experience like for you talking about books?
Now I have to say, my sister has me on a strict reading schedule. And so I cannot read that book right now, but I will put it on our list and we'll see if we can fit it in next year. That's what I say.
That's great. That's great. So to answer your question, as far as overall learning, well, of course, I've learned a lot through the books that we've read, but another thing that I learned a lot about that this podcast forced me very early on to learn about is setting up the website and figuring out the recording platform and figuring out how to edit our podcast and then how to link the platform that we have the podcast hosted on to the website so that that information get exchanged. So then it pops up on our website. So there's just like a lot of the web related technical aspects of this that it took me quite a long number of hours to figure out and get working correctly. And then, of course, something always comes up. You know, I had to change our podcast host for a variety of reasons. And then someone bought someone else and I had to change something else. So there's always things to learn about the technical side of this. And that has been an interesting challenge for me for sure. But I was just thinking last night, do you remember some of the early episodes? We would take literally over an hour just to try to get our technology to work. We couldn't
especially on my end.
No, it was on both our ends.
Did you try to turn your microphone on, Linda? Oh, let me see. Oh, it's off. Yes, that worked. Can you hear me now? The settings. Oh, the
settings. We were constantly having problems. Wait, I could hear you. Now I can't hear you. And then we'd have to call each other because we couldn't hear or have our microphones working. Yeah. And I just thought, I don't know if this is ever going to really work. We can't spend an hour or
what are we going to do when we have our guests on? Right. Remember, we used to get on like an hour before our guests were on just to make sure we could get It's terrible.
It just was crazy.
All right. The tech was a big learning experience for both of us. Here's the other thing I learned, Nance.
Okay.
And I think I just said this a drop or two ago.
Okay.
The fiction is my favorite book.
Yeah.
However, I have learned that I can read all sorts of books.
Because you're a reader.
Because I'm a reader. And that I have enjoyed reading autobiographies, fiction, nonfiction, research kind of books. You know, like I have expanded my genres.
Yeah. Dramatically.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can not only can I be a reader, I can read different kinds of books. It sounds like I'm in kindergarten, but honestly, the learning curve has been a big one on this. I have to say I was nervous.
Oh, me too.
And I'm not nervous anymore.
Yeah, sometimes I'm nervous when we have our guests on because I want it to go well. You know, I want to have a good conversation. I always know I'm going to have a good conversation with you. So I guess I'm never nervous about when it's you and me, but I want the conversations to go well with our guests. And that sometimes that makes me nervous. But you're right. I remember our early episodes. I thought, am I ever going to get over feeling so nervous about these?
Yeah.
Okay. I am a data person. You were always good at math, but I'm good at data. So I do have a data-based quiz for you about the podcast.
Okay. All right.
And we've already kind of circled around the first question. How many books have we read?
Okay, I'm going to say 49 because of where this one falls. And we got out of line a little bit.
We did.
This spring, we're a little shuffly. So is the answer 49?
The answer is 52.
What? How did we get ahead?
I think we got ahead this spring because we read 3 books in a row.
Okay.
But it's interesting because we have had some books that we've had 3 episodes on, like Sparks Like Stars by Nadia Hashimi. You remember we had 3 episodes on that book. So yeah, it's not quite as easy as dividing 100 by 2.
Okay.
Okay, what do you think our most listened to episode has been?
I know the Lincoln Highway was pretty up there for a while. We haven't talked about it lately. So is that still number 1?
It is still number 1.
Wow.
It's well in the lead. It's not even close.
Wow.
A lot of people listen to that one. I will tell you the rest of the top 10. So number 2, The Nightingale.
Wow.
Number 3, Where the Crawdads Sing.
Popular book made into a movie.
So all 3 of those very popular books. And I think when we recorded them, they were still on the bestseller list. They were still riding a crest of a lot of readers. Number 4, though, may be a bit of a surprise. It's when our cousin Larry McDaniel joined us to talk about the Lincoln Highway. Still Lincoln Highway.
Wow, 1 and 4. Whew.
Number 5, a perennial favorite of mine, and I know yours, Hidden Valley Road.
Right.
Number 6, Remarkably Bright Creatures. Again, super popular book, really riding the crest of that. Number 7, Born a Crime by Trevor Noah.
Oh, yeah.
Number 9, our interview with Robert Kolker about Hidden Valley Road. Now that surprises me. I would think the interview with him would be more popular than you and me talking about it.
Yeah.
And then finally, rounding out our top 10, Candace Millard on The River of Doubt. Our interview with her about The River of Doubt.
Wow. Yeah, there's some surprises there. Okay, now I have a quiz question for you.
Wow, I had no idea. Okay.
Do you remember before we started our podcast, we did a dry run? What was the book that you and I did a dry run on to see how to do a podcast?
I forgot we did a dry run.
That we never posted because we failed. Like, it was like, okay, that didn't work. We gotta make some changes as to how we're doing this, because that was not so good.
Yes. Okay. It would have been a book that we had already both read, because we would not have read a book only for a dry run. So I'm thinking it was Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis.
No.
Okay. What was
You're
it?
close, though. It was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh, still C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
if I would have had that as one of my guesses, then my third would have been The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis, because I think those are 3 books I would have known that we had read.
Yeah.
That is really funny. I have such a vague memory of that.
I remember it very well.
Did we think, can we really do this?
We said we have to go back to the drawing board because we meant like this book, but we're like, okay, what else should we ask, Nance? What else should we talk about? Like that we decided like we need to put some structure here. We need to think through some questions to ask each other before we do a podcast. And maybe editing software would be a good idea. We need to sound somewhat intelligent. Can't put this on the air.
Oh, I love it. Okay, I have another question for you.
Okay.
How many authors of our book selections have we interviewed?
That's a great question. Versus experts.
Yes.
I have enjoyed both.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm going to say we had slightly more authors. So I'm going to say 60-40 authors to experts.
Okay. So if we've had 100 episodes, half of them are us talking.
Yeah.
That leaves 50.
Okay.
So help me with the math.
Okay.
60%.
40%. Let's base this on 50 books. So I'm going to say 30 books with the author, 20 books with an expert. That's my final answer.
The answer is 19 books with the author.
What?
Uh-huh. And as long as you're talking about it, 19 books with experts.
Okay.
And the balance.
Oh, it's us.
No, we had fans.
Oh, we did have fans.
And we've had some books where you and I continued to talk about the book.
Oh, that's right. We did a part 2.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot about those.
But isn't that funny? We've had equal number of authors as experts.
That is interesting. Okay, very good.
Okay, next question. What percentage of our listeners come from the United States?
99.
That is incorrect, but that's a tough question. But you're incorrect by a ways.
Really?
Yeah, 77%.
What?
Yeah.
Where do we have people coming from?
77% from the United States, 5% from Canada.
Okay.
3% from the United Kingdom.
Okay.
2% from Israel. 2% from Russia. And then 1% from the following countries: Germany, Australia, China, France, Poland, Spain, and Ireland.
Oh, we're global, Nance. Global influence.
And then there are a bunch listed under 1%.
Right. People all over the place.
And then my final question for you is, how do you think people listen to us? Like, on what platform is the most popular platform? Like Spotify versus like Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Podcasts, any of those?
Oh, I'm going to say our website by far.
Actually, by far, Apple Podcasts, 41%.
What? I'm surprised.
But I'm also surprised. Number 2 was web browser, and that's 18% listen to our website, which is higher than I would have thought. Spotify, 14%. Amazon Music, 4%. Amazon Alexa, 3%. Spotify for creators, 3%. Audible, 2%. And then other, 15%.
Now, is other YouTube?
No, none of these are counting YouTube, actually. That is
okay.
an excellent point.
Oh, interesting.
Well, anyway, some fun little facts about the podcast.
Out of the 52 books that we have read, what is your favorite?
Oy, 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 oy. That is a tough question, because I have enjoyed all of our books. They've all given something to me that I have happily received into my life and my way of thinking. I always feel like the last book we read is my general favorite. Do you know what I mean?
I do
So
know what you mean. Yes.
people are always asking me, "Oh, do you have any book recommendations for me?" And I'm always so excited about the last book that we read. And so, for instance, I was out with my husband and a group of friends, and we were talking about favorite books and kind of going around. And I could not stop talking about Blackwood's Blue Sky by Eowyn Ivey, which
Mhm.
was our most recent book. And actually, will be our next episode, will be our interview with her. Just a great book. There's something about the most recent one that I am always recommending. I would say from a pure, enjoyable, escapist read that I found delightful, I would say The Thursday Murder Club.
Really? Oh.
It completely took me by surprise how much I found that it was just entertaining, but I love that edge of poignancy in it as well. So it was a little more than just entertaining. I just thought it was just a fun read. Then I think about, well, what book has personally impacted me the most? And I think of two books. First, my big favorite that I also can't stop recommending just in general to anyone who will listen is Empire Pain, The Secret
I
History of
figured
the
you were going to
Sackler
say
Dynasty.
that. I got that one pegged.
Yeah, Patrick Radden Keefe.
Yep.
It helped me develop a better understanding of the opioid crisis, and it also broadened my understanding of how people become addicted to opioids. And that has been, for me, very impactful. And then second, in terms of personal impact, I would have to say Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones by James Clear. We just did it in January.
Yep.
That has personally impacted me because every single day I am observing the new habits I established because of that book.
You really made a lot of goals.
Yeah.
And took that very seriously. I could absolutely see you saying that.
I have not answered the question by giving a favorite. Instead, I have given several favorites. But how about you? Favorite book?
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Now that I'm a reader, I have something to say about these books. And that is like they're apples and oranges.
Yes.
It's very hard to compare them because they're all very, very different. Brought mine into like categories. What was my favorite fiction book that I read? What was my favorite nonfiction? So my favorite fiction book was Things Fall Apart by Chenoweth Chebe.
I would never have guessed that. I love that.
I liked it because it was an African's voice on what was imposed upon them in colonization. And I really liked the people in the book.
Yes.
They made the whole thing very believable.
I love that.
So that was my favorite. And I've always said I like these little romance Hallmark things. No,
Yeah.
a Chenoweth Chebe. And then my favorite autobiography was absolutely Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. That was my suggestion. And I love Trevor Noah.
Oh, I could have predicted that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I said, okay, but really what has been impactful? How has this changed me? How has this changed the person that I am? And what are the books that I think about? Because I don't think of Trevor Noah, Born a Crime often. And I certainly don't think of Chenoweth Chebe and Things Fall Apart. But here are the books that I really think about. And what I'm thinking that they are called are research novels.
I'm going to guess investigative journalism.
Investigative journalism. Oh, that's so good, man. Okay. Here's my list. And this was where it got hard. So I've got my top 4, not in order of importance. Empire of Pain, because it did for me what it did for you. I would just add to that the pharmacology behind what gets researched and what doesn't, because although my background is therapy, I don't do anything with the prescription side. So I liked the way the book went into the pharmacology and the marketing and the sales and that part of that. Plus I like the addiction part and the demystification of that and the let's not blame the person who got hooked up on painkillers because the doctor prescribed them,
Right.
I Am a Man by Joe Starita. I really liked his book.
Yeah.
And I hope that he does make this into a movie. Hidden Valley Road, absolutely near the top of my list. I loved everything about that book, including pharmacology, therapy throughout the decades, the research, the trauma on the children and the family dynamics, just every aspect of that book a lot. And then my other one was Atomic Habits too. And I really had to think about, there's maxed out mindset, there's Atomic Habits.
You like the real work?
I really love the real work, and that was on my list too. And then I think that the Atomic Habits kind of rose quicker because it was the book we did later.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I was just playing pickleball last week, and Maxed Out Mindset came. I have to change my thinking here because I'm not doing well. And so those books that were like those self-help growth books are really impactful to me. I think about them. My office here is better because of them. Now I have my own office space in my house. That is all since January, and making one small change at a time. So those things really have had an impact on me too.
I love that.
So that's it. It's a complete surprise.
Wow. My next question, what subject matter did we learn about that has most stuck with you, or that you were most excited or intrigued to learn about? I'll go first. Maybe with my answer, you'll understand what I'm saying. For me, it was learning about Cyprus.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. And learning about the Civil War there, that it's still happening. I knew nothing about Cyprus. The only thing I could summon up in my head is when we were little, there was always war going on in Cyprus. I didn't understand why. But, when we were growing up, there were a lot of wars going on.
Yes, there were.
It was hard to keep straight. Who was fighting who and for what reason?
There it was at 6:30 every night.
Yes. So I loved Island of Missing Trees, learning about Cyprus. And our expert, James Kerr-Lindsay, was so great to talk to. Truly an international expert on the conflict in Cyprus. I am so happy to be better educated about Cyprus and understand that country and its history and its ongoing issues. It kind of answered a lot of questions from my childhood I didn't even know that I had.
Yeah.
So I would say Cyprus. Do you have a subject matter that we delved into and you were like, wait, what?
Oh, there's stuff I did about everything. I think I've been to France. I didn't know anything about France, really, in World War II and what was going on there.
Oh, sure.
Cyprus, I didn't know anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the World War II in Malaysia.
Yes.
I didn't know anything about that. What I said near the beginning of the podcast, reading has been a learning tool for me that has exposed me to areas that I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
But it has filled in some cracks of lack of knowledge about things I did know about, but I didn't know about fully, like the pharmacology and some of the books that we've read that I've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
That really helped to go, okay, I see this better now.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a question for you, Nance. What do you wish you knew from our listeners?
Oh, there's so much I wish I knew from our listeners. I wish we had a more direct way to understand what our listeners are thinking. I'd like to know what they enjoy about the podcast, why they listen, what interests them, what they would like more of, what they would like less of. I would like to know more about what they think about the podcast. How about you?
Yeah, I would like to know more. I did just expose a friend who I was talking to about books to our podcast. And her friend suggested that she read a book. And I said, oh, well, we did that on my podcast. You should check out the book. After you read the book, check out what my sister and I say about it. She just listened to it.
Oh, okay.
And she said, you and your sister are fun, with an exclamation point, Nancy.
Oh.
And then it says, seems like you have a good time discussing the books. And it was cool to hear your thoughts about the characters. Now, she knows me personally.
Yeah.
But I appreciate those comments. But yeah, I would like to have more feedback on what kind of books do they want us to do? Do they like the authors? Do they like the experts? They just like a mishmash. Are they getting what they want?
I thought we'd have more action on our feedback page on our website where you can go and send us messages.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not a way people like to stay in touch with us.
No, I guess not. And because 41% of our people are listening on Apple Podcasts, they probably don't even know about maybe our website so much.
Yeah, I suppose so. So what do you hope for our next 100 episodes?
Well, I hope to figure out, now that we have the technology down, and it doesn't take an hour to figure that out, it would be good to figure out how to market better.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
To increase our listenership.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a good goal to have. I'm liking this recent connection that we have with some New York publishers.
Yes.
They're reaching out to us and saying, would you consider this book for your podcast? I would love to continue that.
I think we should go to New York and have lunch with those people.
Yes, that is such a great idea. We should.
Let's go hit some publishers up.
We should do that. I'm going to book my flight now. No, I'm serious. We should definitely do that. We like going to New York.
That's a good goal. Going to New York and having lunch with publishers.
We're going to do that. Another goal I think I would have is figuring out a tighter connection with our listeners.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, but I don't know how to do that. We're going to have to talk to our social media experts again.
Yes.
And figure out how we can do that.
Oh, these are good goals for us. I'm excited about the next 100, Nance.
I am too. I think we can do it.
We can. We can do it.
Well, this has been fun reliving our last 100 episodes.
Oh, I hope our listeners have had fun with us.
Yeah, I hope so
we
too.
We always have fun.
And actually, listeners, if you have a favorite episode or a favorite book or a favorite guest that we've had on, let us know. You can send us a note from our website, or you can post a note to our Facebook page, Instagram, or X social media sites.
Yeah, if there's a book you want us to read.
Yeah.
Or how these books have changed your life. How has Atomic Habits? What books have impacted you? What authors would you like us to hear from again?
Yeah.
Because some of our authors have multiple books out and we just picked one.
Yes.
Okay. Well, stop by the front porch next time. We welcome Eowyn Ivy to the front porch to talk about Blackwood's Blue Sky. And again, very nice and kind and social.
We talk about how much we enjoy meeting her and how much we want to read her first book, Snow Child,
yes.
Pulitzer Prize finalist.
Yeah.
She would be fun to have back.
Absolutely.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening. Our website is frontporchbookclub.com.
Our episodes come out twice a month on the first and third Wednesday of every month.
See you next time, Linny.
See you next time, Nancy.